everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. Today I'm going to be speaking with Rachel Rodgers, a Total Attorneys client and user of the Total Attorneys virtual law office and case management platform. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today. And can you please tell me a little bit about your practice and why you chose to use Total Attorneys for your virtual law office?
Sure, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, when I was thinking about starting my own practice, I knew that I love to travel, and I'm talking like, go away for a couple of months type of travel and kind of live somewhere else for a little while. And then my husband also was needing to move around a little bit for his career because we had been stuck in New York for 3 years while I was in law school, and then I also had a clerkship after that. So he had some things he wanted to do. So I really wasn't comfortable just choosing a place and putting down roots, because I didn't feel like there was any place that we were going to stay for a really long time at that stage. So I was really interested in the virtual law office as a possibility for creating a practice, but not, tying me to one place. So that's why it was important to me to create a virtual law office. And so I just did lots of research. And, I just found the Total Attorneys product, and I was super excited about it. And we've talked a ton of times, and I emailed you a bunch before I decided to do it. And then, I did it, and I'm very pleased with it.
Great. And I really did enjoy that conversation. It seemed like we were kind of walking together through all of the research that you were doing, looking for a solution. Was there anything in particular that you were looking for when you were evaluating solutions that was that really stood out as being an important piece of building your new firm? Was that, mobility? Was it security? Was it client portal so that your clients could work with you online? What was really like kind of the 2 or 3 main things that you were looking for in an application to provide your firm?
Well, definitely the security was definitely an issue because, it's a requirement. So, I wanted it to be taken care of. I didn't want it to be something that I had to spend a lot of time figuring out and, putting a bunch of different providers together to create a secure situation. So that was one of the main things. And then also I definitely wanted a client portal on my website, so that if I had interactions with people off of my website, they'd still be able to come to my website and register and become clients without having to have a contact with me first. And sometimes I wake up in the morning and I've got new clients, and actually it happens quite often. And I get a lot of clients on the weekends, surprisingly.
That's awesome.
I guess that's when people think about their legal issues. So those were things that were important to me. And I wanted something that didn't feel like, okay, it's just a website where you just go online and you get this like generic document. I wanted it to be an actual interaction that we had, between me and my clients, but that we did it online instead of over the phone or in person. So I still wanted it to feel like, like a lawyer is there supporting you, because there's personal aspects to, interacting with clients that you don't get if you just have a, stodgy website and it's like, click here, download here, fill this in, and you're done. I wanted to have more of an interaction with my clients. And so that was important when evaluating which service to go with.
Absolutely. And your practice focuses on Gen Y entrepreneurs, and also you have a lot of clients who have tech businesses or online or internet-based businesses. Mm-hmm. How do they react and respond to the type of firm that you've created and the fact that you are a virtual attorney?
They're ecstatic. It's actually shocking how excited they get when they find me. People usually the first contact is on Twitter, because that's like the easiest way to follow me and then send me a message. And so that's what they usually do. And they say, oh my God, I just discovered your website and I'm so excited, because they love that I'm tailoring myself to a particular niche, which is Gen Y entrepreneurs. And they also love that I'm online based, because I think young people are very comfortable doing everything online. They don't feel like they need to meet anyone, So for most of my clients, it's perfect. And like I said, they're working on stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're working on stuff on the weekends. And so they love that they can interact with me like that, and it's not just, I have these 9 to 5 hours where, you have to come into my office, bring yourself here and then we'll figure it out. It's kind of like all my information is on my website, the basics of how they need to work with me, or how they would work with me and the services I provide, and, a little bit about myself and my personality is all expressed on the website. So they kind of know whether they want to work with me or not, and then they can just easily register and get started. And they love that. So it's kind of like instant gratification.
That's great. And do you find that I know that you write pretty frequently, so what types of information are you sharing through social media, through Twitter, through your website and your blog that you find resonates really well with your clients, or what have you shared on Twitter that's really kind of attracted people to you?
Well, I think one of the ways that people really connect with me is that I'm also a Gen Y entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So they relate to me in that way. And so I just write things that I think are relevant to me and are relevant to my client base. Sometimes I'll write articles that are just, legal focused that'll say, it'll be kind of like a how-to, or, making them aware of a particular issue so they know how to conduct themselves to avoid liability or to protect their business. So I do write articles, on, business and, creating an entity, trademarking, what steps do you need to take when you start a new business? What kind of legal documents do you need on your website? Different things like that. But then I also write just articles that I find, things that I'm moved to write about, like, things to inspire entrepreneurs. So I add that into my blog too, because I think that just really expresses who I am. And I find that those articles are sometimes more popular than the legal ones. But a lot of people do find me through the legal articles I write through Google. So it's great for SEO purposes, and it's also great because, it enables me to help my client base, and even those who aren't necessarily ready to work with me or who are working with me, they kind of get this regular information, which is useful to them. So it works out well.
Well, and it also creates an example of your expertise in that particular area. So it's
right.
building that trust factor and letting them know that you absolutely do, know what you're talking about, and that this is something that you practice every day, and just building their level of comfort in the services that you provide.
Exactly. It's just, showing that you are a trusted resource for the information that you're providing, I think is definitely key.
Oh, very important.
And I think that helps too with interacting on social media, press, like all of that stuff kind of gives you, I guess it kind of gives you some credibility, so that they know you're not just some fly-by-night internet lawyer, right. That they know that you're more of an established name, that you're not going to disappear, that they can trust you. I think that's an important factor.
Absolutely. And you've been a great example to other attorneys who are also looking to start their own firms, whether it be online or physical offices. Do you find that you have a lot of attorneys contacting you who want to learn more about the type of practice that you've built for yourself?
Definitely. Even from the very beginning, it's like, I think one of the main reasons it kind of, I definitely do a lot of marketing, but I think it's also my niche. People get excited about that, and just the idea that instead of, finding a typical niche, I just kind of created what I thought would work, what I wanted to do. And so I think it kind of excites lawyers, and they think about, okay, I can do the same thing based on my interests or my skills and abilities. So a lot of people have contacted me, lawyers and law students alike. And so that's why partially through the Solo Practice University blog that I write for, and then I started a Gen Y JD blog for young lawyers, because so many people were contacting me. I was like, I can't respond to all the phone calls and all the emails. So I started writing these articles as a way to kind of interact with other attorneys who wanted to do something similar. But yeah, it's just, I did the same thing. When I was starting out, I contacted like practically every lawyer I knew in the country that had a virtual law practice that I could find online. And by talking to them and seeing what were their struggles, what was working, what wasn't working, I was able to come up with a plan that worked for me. So I think it's key that we kind of share our information and stuff. And so I'm happy to do that with other lawyers. And so I love it. I love to help other people kind of create the lifestyle that they want. Because I think for a lot of people, the traditional law office is just not an option. Maybe it's moms at home or young lawyers who don't have the money to create the traditional brick and mortar office. So I think it creates a lot of flexibility and freedom, which is what people want.
And if some of our attorneys wanted to check out that blog, do you have the address that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. It's genyjd.com. So genyjd.com.
Great. Thank you. And so let's talk a little bit about the preparation piece. About how long did it take you before you actually launched your website and your firm? Was it a year of like writing a business plan and doing research, and then you went into launch, or was it longer than that?
Well, I definitely did a lot of research. I was clerking, and getting a clerkship out of law school is kind of like delaying looking for a job for 1 year. And it's almost, all my friends during my 3L year were like jealous because they all were all searching for jobs and I was done, So I got my clerkship at the beginning of my 3L year. But then as soon as you start your clerkship, you're like, okay, what am I going to do next? Because it's only a year long and then you get kicked out, So I spent the time during my clerkship thinking about options. And one of the options I kept considering was, going solo. And so I did lots of research during that clerkship. I mean, part of it was because I couldn't build a practice while I was clerking for a judge because, you're not allowed to do that. You have to remain neutral like the judge. So since I couldn't get started, I figured I could learn everything I needed to learn so I'd be ready to start on, the day that my clerkship ended if I decided to do that. And so that's what I did. I just did lots of research. I contacted lots of attorneys. I created a business plan, short, like 2-page plan, of what am I going to do. Do I think it's necessary to research for a year? Absolutely not. But it just worked for me based on where I was in life, But I think, you want to take some time to do a little research, formulate a plan, and then just go for it, So I built my website, I think in like October, November. And then I think I started with Total Attorneys I think it was December. And, and then my practice, my first couple of clients was in September of 2010. So it was, a couple of months into it. But I think I could, if I was going to do it again, I'd probably start it with the virtual law office from day one. But I think it was kind of like, it was money, and I was kind of letting the clients fund my practice. So my first couple of clients provided the money that I needed to start my website and to, do everything that I wanted to do to set it up.
And so we've talked a lot about your professional life, but you're also very busy personally. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the freedoms or opportunities that having a virtual law office has allowed you flexibility in your personal life?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things I mentioned earlier is travel. For example, later, I'm in Arizona, and most of my clients are in New York and New Jersey, and then I have some clients in California as well. And so none of my clients are in the state that I'm in. So that provides flexibility for me, and we're going to be in North Dakota next summer, randomly, just for a couple of months, because of what my husband, the work that he's doing. And it allows me to be with him without having to move locations. And then also I'm 6 months pregnant.
Congratulations.
The video, but, and that's been great because I don't have to worry about daycare or, spending 12 hours a day away from my kid. If I was working at a traditional firm, even as a solo with a traditional office, I think I would still probably need daycare. But now I can just work from home, and kind of share duties with my husband somewhat. But I definitely just walk down the hall and I'm at work, right down that hall is my bedroom, and where my kid will be, or I can have my child right here. So it's just, the flexibility has been amazing, and it's worked out perfectly for me and for what I wanted out of life. I think the most exciting thing has been that it's worked, I think I was like nervous, like, can this really work? It sounds too good to be true. And that the fact that it actually does is just awesome.
That's excellent. And so do you see yourself as being an example and really establishing a new breed of attorney that is going to help everyone coming up in this millennial, Gen X, Gen Y environment? Like, you're kind of really blazing a trail for attorneys that are looking for the next step in their career, and do you see that becoming more prevalent in the future? Like, if you could look into your crystal ball, what do you see? What do you see for the lawyer's profession in the next few years?
Honestly, I just I've been told that, and I'm humbled, that people think of me that way. I think I just really was just trying to survive, just trying to get what I want out of life, and use my talents and skills to do it. I don't know, it's attracted a lot of attention, which has been exciting. And so I'm happy to share whatever information that I have, with other lawyers. I think that not even just in the legal profession, but I think in work life as a whole, especially with my generation, I think people want more out of life. They don't want to just work for a firm or work for any place for 50 years, doing the same thing, and then enjoy life when they retire. They're not willing to do that anymore. Now they want to enjoy life right now, and they still want to do work that's meaningful, So I think, the virtual law office is definitely a huge avenue for lawyers to be able to do that, so that we can have that work-life balance, or whatever, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, I have worked on my way to the Grand Canyon, like, on my BlackBerry, so it's like, but it works for me. It's comfortable, so it's not, I don't know, work-life balance is a good term, but basically it's like my work is integrated into my life in a way that I'm very comfortable with. And I think that's all that people want. They want flexibility. They want freedom. They want to travel, or, have different experiences, or spend more time with their children. And so I think this is definitely a great way for lawyers to be able to do that. And that's the experience that I'm having. So I'm definitely going to shout from the rooftops, because I'm enjoying it so much.
Well, and we really, really appreciate you sharing your experiences and your path to where you stand today with us and the attorneys who use our services. We really appreciate all of your time and insight, and we give you so much credit for everything that you have built and the life that you have been able to create for yourself and that little one on the way. So congratulations, and we cannot thank you enough for you spending all of your time with us today and sharing everything with us and our listeners.
Oh, well, it was absolutely my pleasure. So anytime.